Hello there. What is going on, everybody? Today we are going to be talking about the Empire and Battle Forces, how we can see more Battle Forces for the Empire, what makes a good Battle Forces, and what other kind of breakaway groups or sub-factions of Imperial units we may see. If you guys are new here to the channel, we are giving away a Shadow Collective core box. If you're interested in winning a Shadow Collective core set in the form of a $70 Amazon gift card, all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. Also, I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Luxury Playstyle. Amazing full metal tokens over at luxuryplaystyle.com. These are absolutely spectacular tokens. There's tokens for your game status effects like dodge, aim, standby, damage, suppression. You've got your order tokens as well, both in red and blue. They're fantastic. You're going to love them. You're going to save 15% if you use code Crabbok VIP. That code is also, in addition to savings, going to get you a free lightsaber nunchuck token on all orders $35 or higher. So go over to luxuryplaystyle.com and check them out. You're going to love these tokens. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Empire. I think, out of all of the factions, you can think of certain kind of breakaway groups. The rebels, have a lot of different rebel cells, so it's very easy to kind of think of sub-factions as battle forces and think of sub-factions for a lot of other factions. But the Empire is a little bit more of a cohesive army. And so, while we know that our first battle force is going to be Blizzard Force, I think Blizzard Force is a great way to kind of represent certain things that we do certainly expect to see, because one of the things about the battle forces is while they are PDF downloads allowing you to use your existing stuff and new stuff, and get kind of everything in a different sort of, a different building structure where you have different rank requirements for different units, and also get special command cards by kind of limiting your list building into this small subset, which is very, very cool. Blizzard Force represents a kind of a nice little standalone, a standalone specialty unit within the Empire. And of course, you could see a lot more specialty units within the Empire. It's definitely possible to see that. But Blizzard Force represents a good thing, because I think all battle forces should definitely be recognizable. All right, you definitely want a battle force to be something that customers, you don't have to have read every single book to be able to recognize this. So things that are from the films, Disney Plus shows, recent movies, all kinds of, or even the older movie, any of the films really, anything that's recognizable is probably going to have bonus points. And so I think that is going to be helpful. Another thing is it should have a mix of old and new units. You want it to be something that people will be able to use on day one, as soon as if you release it in PDF format, but you also want it to have the potential to have new units added. And I think there's bonus points for a Blizzard, a battle force, if it allows you to kind of release a kind of a battle box, because they do plan to release these also in physical format in addition to the free PDF download. But for people who want to get, snowtroopers, for example, here's exactly how you do this, right? Snowtroopers are one of the first units that came out in Star Wars Legion. They were in that first extra wave, that first extra core you could get. But they didn't have a hard plastic model yet, so those were all only available in soft plastic. And so one of the things that I know FFG wanted to do for a long time was say, hey, this hard plastic sprues are great, so why don't we try and get everything from the soft plastic eventually reprinted into hard plastic? And this is a great way to do that. The battle forces allow for all of those existing snowtroopers to exist and be perfectly valid and legal, but also by having a Blizzard Force in a box, you can have snowtroopers in that box, and now people, hey, I can now get my snowtroopers here. You don't have to, but if you want to buy a couple of Blizzard Force boxes to kind of, say, hey, you know what, I only had one snowtrooper before, but I want a whole lot now. Or if you're like me and you've got 5 snowtrooper units, but you really think that Imperial armor would look even better in hard plastic, you have options there. And so I think that's cool. It's kind of like how they did the Wookiees. With that recent Wookiee expansion, you kind of had a new hard plastic version for your rebels, but it didn't completely invalidate your rebels. You were fine to continue to run rebels, right? So I think Blizzard Force kind of hits on all of those points. It can potentially include, if it's going to include the stuff we saw in the Battle of Hoth, we're going to get a bunch of soft plastic, right? E-webs is an option. You might see new ATSTs. You might see, of course, snowtroopers, and things like that. You might even see a new Veers. for all we know. But also at the same time, it leaves the door open for new units. We know that there is a new type of stormtrooper unit that can take 2 heavies, but we also know that there is the possibility for other things that we've seen on Hoth. For example, probe droids. They haven't said that probe droids are coming, but this leaves a perfect option for, hey, if probe droids come out at some point, maybe they can go into every unit, but they'll probably also be allowed in Blizzard Force, because that's the first time we see a probe droid is on Hoth, and so I think that makes perfectly good sense, to be able to have the door open for more things to become added to an existing battle force. So outside of this, I have a couple of other ideas for other battle forces that are likely to show up, and I'll talk about what's more likely first, and that's an Imperial Remnant battle force, representing kind of after Return of the Jedi, after the Battle of Endor, when the Empire's leadership was destroyed and different factions and sections are scattered to the wind. We see a lot of this in The Mandalorian. And we already know that they plan on doing content from The Mandalorian. And we've got characters like Moff Gideon that have been name-dropped. And so, it's not really that much of a leap to suggest that Moff Gideon is coming to Star Wars Legion. And while he did exist in the Empire prior to the Battle of Endor, we only see him post the Battle of Endor. So he certainly seems like a character who would potentially be able to wield the Darksaber, for example. And I would go so far as to suggest that perhaps if he wields the Darksaber, he can only wield it in the Imperial Remnant battle force, but if he's serving under Palpatine, like in prior Empire, he probably can't use the Darksaber, right? Like maybe, but then again, we don't know for sure, but that's a cool idea, right? And so that could be some bonuses to like, well, I want to limit what he can use, by putting him in this smaller battle force, but as a bonus, now he gets to wield the Darksaber. So that, like, there's a lot of cool things, but I think Imperial Remnant gives us plenty of options. You've got that special new E-Web, which could be a new unit or could be a reprint of the old unit. But definitely we saw some existing early models from Star Wars Legion that could totally be printed in an Imperial Remnant battle box. Speeder bikes. We definitely see speeder bikes in The Mandalorian. Death Troopers. I mean, they're in the picture, so of course we see Death Troopers. Stormtroopers, right? Regular Stormtroopers, there's tons of Imperial Remnant Stormtroopers. It doesn't have to be a whole new unit. It could be the same model that you can use as Stormtroopers or Imperial Remnant Stormtroopers, or they could just be the same thing. I don't even know if they have to be a whole new unit type. But or this could be either a new sculpt or an old sculpt or a combination of both. I think it would be pretty interesting. I think for most intents and purposes, though, the Imperial Remnant kind of would depend on the paint job. If you wanted them to look just dirtier, then a same sculpt, you could just paint them dirty, or same sculpt, you can paint them clean. But I think there's plenty of opportunity for new units in addition to Moff Gideon. We saw that really cool Inferno Trooper, that showed up in the first season of Mandalorian, who had it was basically a flame trooper, but he was like a stormtrooper, and he had the red stuff, and he had the really, really, really massive flamethrower. That would be a super cool kind of special forces stormtrooper, or something, or maybe even an operative, depending on how you wanted to do that. And don't forget about Dark Troopers. Dark Troopers are going to be perfect for Imperial Remnant. As a matter of fact, they could be Imperial Remnant only as an option. That is definitely a possibility. Could be very, very cool. Let me know your thoughts on the Imperial Remnant. What do you think we should see? Or, and of course, there's certainly other scientists and other characters that could totally be at work in the Imperial Remnant. And heck, there's even, with Mando Season 3 getting ready to come out, there could be even more things that could be added. And of course, that's the beauty of having these be expandable and adjustable types of battle forces, that they can just be like, oh, that could be in here now, sure. They'd be very, very cool. It gets a little slim after this, though, but I thought a great option would be the Inquisitorium. Kind of like a battle force focusing on the operations and administration of the Inquisitors. This is something that kind of got started in Star Wars Rebels, of course, with the Grand Inquisitor here. They were often seen with Stormtroopers, so again, you could always put Stormtroopers in any of them, but this would be a good opportunity to have some Stormtroopers going side by side with Inquisitors as kind of their lackeys. And I think that makes sense. You don't necessarily I don't think you'll necessarily see a battle force of 100% Force users, because then it kind of would feel a little bit more like a kill team. Like, hey, my whole army is just like these 5 guys. And having recently run a list like 7 Sabers for the Separatists, which consists primarily of only Force users, it's very lopsided and it's very balanced, or not balanced really, in that it leaves you lacking in in too many departments to be effective. So I think you would definitely want stormtroopers as a way to kind of balance out your inquisitors. But I could definitely see it having, more than the option to have, 5 force users if you wanted to. Inquisitors could have a lot of different support, and we see a lot more of the Inquisitors, especially we're going to see a lot more in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming in May. So I think that's going to really expand the horizons and potential for an Inquisitorium battle force. But also we saw a lot in Jedi Fallen Order. Between Star Wars Rebels, Fallen Order, and then Obi-Wan, we've got lots of named Inquisitors, which are great candidates for this game. Of course, our Darth Vader could also appear in the Inquisitorium as well. But in addition to Vader, you've got a lot of leaders. Grand Inquisitor, for example, you've got a lot of tons of operative potential. I think this would be one of those factions that probably allows 3 or maybe even 4 operatives, which would be really, really interesting. But also you've got some other cool core or even special forces units, especially some of those like purge troopers and units, new kind of black armored shadow trooper type units that we see in Jedi Fallen Order. Plus there's a lot more future potential with Jedi Order 2, very, very close. It may be announced any day now, so we have no idea when exactly the next Jedi Fallen Order game is going to be announced. We do know it's getting very close. So I think there are definitely other potential options, maybe some Coruscant-based options, like, the Emperor's like Royal Guard, but like his elite, like his private, people that are going to go specifically when the Emperor goes into war, maybe allowing for additional Royal Guard units and a little bit more of a Special Forces heavy potential, but those are my basic, my main options. I think the Imperial Remnant and the Inquisitorium are probably the most likely for the next 2 battle forces we see that happen to be Imperial specific. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think is going to be a very likely or at least possible and recognizable battle forces that we might see, and what kind of units would you want to see added? I'd love for you to let me know down in the comments. Also, join our Discord. We have a great family-friendly Discord that I would love to have you guys be a part of, and keep the discussion going there. Share your pictures. We have a painting contest going on right now. Battle Force specific. I want to see your units painted up in the same color schemes to kind of show the unit cohesion, that team spirit. It doesn't even have to be Star Wars Legion. There's been some Warhammer stuff. There's been some ships, like some X-Wing and Armada ships that are all painted in the same kind of like flight wing, same type of color scheme. A lot of Legion stuff as well. I want to see all of your paint jobs, and that contest is going to be running for about 2 months, and then we'll be picking a winner. They'll become an Artisan of Fate in the Discord, which is always fun. We do these every couple of months, and you can also check out all the previous painting competitions that are also bookmarked in the Discord. But I would love to have you guys join, and just check out the links in the description below. If you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, share the video, let me know what you think. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing. Super high fives for the patrons. And you guys help make this channel possible. You didn't expect this at the end of a video. Have a great day.